Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing good. And I hope all of you had a good Independence Day, July 4th. I heard quite a few firecrackers going on, fireworks, things like that. Didn't really see anybody shooting guns though. So this is going to be a follow up discussion based on a stream I did about 3 weeks ago where I said, are guns dead? Because no doubt there's something going on, meaning gun sales and just overall interest are falling down pretty quickly. And I reflected on that, reading all of the chat from that live stream and then reading dozens and dozens of comments that came in the days and weeks afterwards. I've also talked to some different people throughout various parts of the industry, some different shops, and I just wanted to have a follow-up discussion on it. But before we get going, I want to thank all of you guys for the many ways that you support the channel, whether you're on Patreon, YouTube channel member, or over on Locals. Locals is a censorship-free site where I can post things that I just can't post here. There's lots of policies here on YouTube that prohibit things like touching guns during live streams. However, every Saturday night on Locals, I do a live stream where I definitely do touch guns. I've literally shown hundreds and hundreds of guns just in the past year, and we just can't do that here. So definitely go check out my Locals community. It's a place you can financially support, or you can actually financially support for free too at the same time. There's more chances for a win-win over there, where over here on YouTube, I'm very restrictive in what I can do. It's actually kind of hard to have a Second Amendment gun channel where one of the main things my viewers would enjoy is if we could do live stuff with guns, meaning like you guys could do a request and I could talk about the gun and show it and stuff. And I used to do that on here. If you guys go back and look at my previous live streams from years ago now, that was a regular thing. And a lot of people enjoyed that. But this is the site most people want to be on. I do have a Rumble channel. Rumble and Locals are part of the same company. You can watch my Rumble channel, and then you can very easily go over to my Locals from there and check out my Locals community, which has separate stuff. Also, a lot of you guys have been gifted memberships, and a lot of you guys are paid members for my YouTube community. I appreciate all of you guys, and I've been doing tons of behind-the-scenes videos. Like, I've posted way more of those in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, than I have regular public YouTube videos. So make sure you guys are checking those videos out. That's a bonus for all of you who are supporting the channel that way. And I'm also posting those to Patreon and to local supporters as well. I'm posting all of those to all three. And I do want to thank C&T Designs and Arms. He had gifted some channel memberships at the end of last stream. I think it was just him. If it was somebody else, shout it out in the chat real quick here. I don't want to miss you, but the problem is I use StreamYard to do these streams. And when you guys give channel memberships, it's super generous. Hopefully you guys appreciate when they do that because you're getting access to like a bunch of extra content. It doesn't put that up for me to see on StreamYard. Now, Linda helps me the best that she can with looking at another window. It's too hard for me to stream and have like 5 windows open at once. But sometimes it gets late for her, and I think maybe she had gone to sleep. C&T Designs and Arms, by the time you had gifted those channel memberships, and I just couldn't see them from my end. So thank you. I appreciate it. Also, coming up here July 18th, if you're in the Downriver area, let's see here, it'd be Newport, Rockwood, South Rockwood, Brownstown, that area. State Representative Jamie Thompson is going to be doing a fundraiser dinner. I posted it on my YouTube community page. If you want to support her candidacy for when she runs for re-election, and she's a staunch Second Amendment supporter and my friend. So I'm going to be there along with my wife. And if that's something you guys are interested in, I definitely recommend. She's going to be speaking there. Tudor Dixon's going to be there. And I'm not speaking there, but I'll be there. So if any of you decide to get a ticket for that fundraiser dinner, make sure you come and say hi to me. Also, there's going to be a rally in Ionia on July 19th, which would be the day after that. And that's the one that originally was going to be at the Michigan State Capitol. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. We need a rally at the Capitol. I wish this rally was at the Capitol. I'm not the organizer of the rally for reasons. They had a whole list of reasons. They've decided to move that rally. But Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be speaking there and a bunch of other people. And I'm going to be speaking there as well. So we'll see how I do. Hopefully I don't get too much stage fright because I don't normally speak at live events, but They asked me politely to do this one, and I said that I would. So I'm going to be at that one as well. And I also want to thank all of you who leave super chats during these live streams. If you have a question that you want to be sure gets answered or a comment that you want to be read, that's a way to ensure that I'll see it, and I will definitely read it during the live stream. Now, I was thinking about a couple things at once. I've been kind of noticing it slowly but surely over the past year, but it's just really starting to hit me lately. It ain't 2020 anymore. And the Biden slump, now this is going to sound weird, but the Biden slump, this is talking like just people not only just like buying new guns, and that's a big part of it, but buying ammunition. Thanks, Crazy Heathen. I saw that out of the corner of my eye. Hopefully you'll be there, man. If you're standing up there near the stage, I don't know if you and your crew, your militia are doing security again, but if you're standing up there near me, I think I'll be all right. So let me know if you're going to be doing that still at the new venue. Definitely let me know on that, man. If Crazy Heathen's up there, Phil, I think I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen him and his boys that he runs with? You're all right if you're hanging out with those guys. So I'll probably be good. But I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, 2020, just craziness. Now, you couldn't get any ammo you wanted. People like around town were like, you could call it scalping. You could call it just an opportunist. You could call it capitalism. We could have a whole 2-hour discussion just on all of that. Thanks, Phil, man. I appreciate it. But there were people selling like what's now $12 boxes of 9mm FMJ for like $50. There was a while there where that was actually like the going rate. And then there were some people you'd hear stories. I'd heard these stories from viewers of mine, and I believed them because I was seeing some of this happen. I was seeing ads on different places, you know, people meeting up out of the trunk of their car, their backyard, their wherever, which is fine. That's how commerce should happen, in my opinion, in most cases. But they were like $75 for a box, even $100 a box. People were paying like $1 to $2 a round for 9mm FMJ. Between about 3 years ago or so, and maybe up to about 2 years ago, then things started to calm down, and I certainly didn't want things to stay like that. It was insane. People selling guns that they had bought for $200 a few months earlier for $300-$400. That's not good. I don't like that. I don't like it where it's priced to where only elitist and rich people can buy the guns and ammo that they need. And what was going on at that time was, well, they called it a virus. They called it many, many things. There's more and more stuff that keeps coming out where I think it's now to the point where nobody knows for sure what it was except for China. And unfortunately, like it usually ends up with, the United States government. There you go. China, the United States government. I kind of sort of just repeated myself a little bit, didn't I? Thanks for becoming a new member, QD. You're going to be in big trouble with Susan Wiki, but nice to see you, man. I hope you're doing good. Yeah. Now, there was the virus, the lockdowns. It was illegal to cut grass. It was illegal to cut hair in Michigan. It was illegal to buy paint. You couldn't support your local business, but you could support Walmart and Amazon, and it was the largest distribution of wealth that modern society had ever seen. What's happening, Marksman TV? You know, we've both been so busy, and I watched your video that you put out. Shout out to the Marksman TV channel, by the way. Marksman Shooting Sports, Westfield, Indiana. Great friend of mine. Really, really awesome dude. He's really, really smart. And I saw your video and just knew how stressed out you were, but you'd be the best guest in the world to have on for this. And I don't know, man, if you get a chance, send me a text. Maybe if you'd like to, maybe we could do a live stream together again soon. It's been a little while, and I know the couple times you've been a guest on these streams that my viewers really enjoyed that. So basically what we were looking at is tyranny. I mean, I don't think for 1 minute people thought that they could shoot a little microscopic virus out of the air. No, not at all. But it did prove why you shouldn't trust your government. So firearm sales spiked to the highest they had been since, and they probably even exceeded. Although I don't know if all the numbers are completely available yet. They're always a couple years behind when you look at like overall numbers and stuff. But probably since Sandy Hook, you could argue the Sandy Hook incident, versus the flugaloo, as I've coined it on here, where it was basically the flu's here. So everybody armed up like they had never armed up before since maybe Sandy Hook, which is going on, oh geez, over 10 years ago now. And it was sad. And it is sad that it has to be this way. And I don't like it, but I've noticed it's just a reality. And I wanted to talk about it because I'm sure some of you have thought about this same thing. Maybe you're either frustrated by it or encouraged by it. There's different perspectives, but there's this phenomenon that always occurs that a certain event will happen and it'll trigger society at large. And there'll be a big influx of new gun owners. Sometimes it's things like we're coming for your guns. But other times we'll be in the biggest slump ever while they're also concurrently coming for your guns. And actually right now, especially if you live in the state of Michigan, if you live in Washington, if you look at things New York's up to again after they've already been swatted down by the Bruen case and many other states, they're actually coming for the Second Amendment more now than they ever have before. I'll speak for Michigan, namely, because that's my home state. And we also have a huge, huge slump right now while the wolves are at the door more than they've ever been. So sometimes it's a big event that causes, we'll call it panic buying, we'll call it peaked interest, we'll call it a surge in interest, whatever you want to call it, right? But sometimes not. Have you guys thought about that for a minute? So 2020 hits, like I just said, just complete tyranny. We've been going through various amounts of tyranny in this country for a long, long time. It's usually a little bit. Oregon, yes. Many states. As soon as I start mentioning some states, I'm going to miss some, and don't take it personal, guys. There's just so much going on in Michigan right now. It's hard for me to keep track of everywhere, but I know there's lots of bad stuff going on everywhere right now and good stuff going on everywhere too. It's a big country and there's lots of weird stuff going on. But you sit here and think about it, and it's like, okay, we've had different amounts of tyranny for a long, long time. I imagine when the Federal Reserve was put in place, a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, this is probably like a big blow to this republic. And I think it probably definitely was and is, where we literally no longer, like, our currency and money started getting controlled by like a third-party corporation and stuff. Eventually it wouldn't be backed by silver or gold anymore, and it would just basically be a piece of paper and stuff. And that's where we are now. You look at things that happened, the National Firearms Act of 1934, huge, like this huge omnibus gun control bill, where we had been living in a country that, not in all cases, it's never been perfect at all, but the vast majority still believed it shall not be infringed, meant what it said and said what it meant. Took a whole different classifications of firearms based on barrel length, based on rates of fire, based on supposedly the ability to be highly destructive, things like that, and put a tax on it, an ominous tax of $200. Now, in principle, it wouldn't matter if it was 1 penny, if it was $200, if it was $1 million. In principle, shall not be infringed means there shall be no tax to freely exercise a natural God-given right. But that did happen. Time would go on. A few decades later, you'd have the Gun Control Act of 1968, a huge omnibus bill that yet again not only strengthened the National Firearms Act, therefore weakened the Second Amendment. I don't know which one's worse. It's like they're both bad. Like, do you want to die by like falling out of an airplane or falling out of a hang glider? Like, take your pick. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's how this stuff works. They're both death to the Second Amendment and a huge, huge infringement on your natural God-given right to keep and bear arms. But that happened. Established so many draconian restrictions that people nowadays, most of you are just used to living under. There could be some elderly viewers here, and if you're watching and you remember life before the 1968 Gun Control Act, God bless you and your longevity, but you'd have to be up in your 70s now to have even like had like any adult time at all before the Gun Control Act of 1968. Because if you were 18 in 68, you were born in 1950, you're 73. And I know some people are that old, but were you buying guns outside of FFOs before then? I don't know. See, most people, not everybody by any means, but most people watching this right now don't even remember a time before the Gun Control Act of 1968. And certainly I could bet there's nobody here, it'd be almost impossible at this point, that could possibly be watching that was an adult before the National Firearms Act got put in place, because you'd be well over 100 years old. And if you are, then like you're totally awesome. But probably nobody that was an adult in 1934. So we got used to a lot of stuff. We've gotten used to a lot of tyranny and a lot of despotism. But certain events happened. 1986, the Firearms Owners Protection Act with the Poison Pill Hughes Amendment, which made it where machine guns truly became, we'll just say, very unobtainable, not impossible. Machine guns would either become, and this is where they are right now, for two types of people. I guess I'll say three. Either people that are involved in the industry, where as part of their course of business, they might have a special license and they manufacture machine guns. I don't want to say outside of the National Firearms Act, but actually pursuant to it, meaning they're a special occupational taxpayer. They have certain classifications of FFLs. There's multiple ones, and they would have to have the correct taxes paid and all their ducks in a row. That's one form. Now, if you're outside of the industry, you're left with only two types of people that can have a machine gun nowadays. Either someone that's just filthy rich and they just have disposable income and can just buy stuff. In fact, this is kind of crazy. There's a lot of people that own machine guns, and they're not actually really firearms enthusiasts at all. There's a thing where some people buy machine guns nowadays, and they actually have them kept like in a bonded warehouse or in safekeeping by a third-party company, and they're never going to touch it. They're not going to shoot it. They don't care about it at all. In fact, a lot of these are gun grabbers and anti-Second Amendment people, but they know it's like a huge, huge investment. So that's another category. And then there's people that might not necessarily be rich, but they certainly have some extra income. Like they're feeding themselves first, most certainly, because you can't play with machine guns unless you have certainly thousands of dollars, even if it's the very bottom line. And those are people that, I'm not going to call them rich, I'm not going to call them elitist, but these are people that truly love guns, and they just really, really want a machine gun, and they like certain models, and they scrimp and they save and they prioritize, and maybe they don't buy a brand new vehicle. They drive an old beater. Maybe they don't go on vacation much, but they do own a couple machine guns, and those people also exist. But besides those, nobody really owns machine guns anymore in this country. Now, hold on a minute. When I was looking back, talking about July 4th, 1776, when I read the whole entire Declaration of Independence, they were worried about the military being more well-armed than the militia, that's supposed to be me and you. That's the people. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people, that's all of us, to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And it says shall not be infringed because there could be no gun control under that, meaning they didn't want us to have an M forgery, which is another fancy way of saying, well, it's an AR-15 that looks like an M4, but it's actually not. Internally, it operates kind of like one, except for its rate of fire is going to be different. And there's another pinhole that's involved in a ledge and a couple other pieces, but at the same time, it just looks like that. But you can't have it, but the military can. Well, not only was it the Founding Fathers' worst fear, one of their very worst fears, that we would ever even have a standing army in times of peace. Now, I don't know why, but some people actually get mad at me when I say that. Well, you can get mad at me if you want. It's fine if it makes your day or weekend better, but like, don't get mad at me. I'm not a Founding Father. I'm just telling you guys what the Founding Fathers said. One of their biggest fears was having a standing army in times of peace at all. Now, that notwithstanding, if we were to have a standing military, a standing army specifically, Navy, that's a different topic, but let's talk about the Army. The Army, we're not supposed to be world's policemen 24/7. We're not supposed to be using the military to police our own. That's literally one of the most contrary things to the fundamentals of the founding of this country. And no matter what, they never, ever, ever wanted the federal military to be more well armed than the civilian military. Militia, not military, militia. They wanted the militia to be more powerful at any given moment and always more powerful than the United States military. Now, for those of you that serve, that are veterans, if you're a veteran, by literal definition, you're a civilian now. That means you're now part of we the people's militia. And it's a shame. And it's sad, if you believe in the founding documents of the United States, that when you're serving your country in the United States Armed Services and you're within your contract, so you are no longer a civilian, right? You are part of active duty. You're in the military. A lot of people get that confused, so I'll take 30 seconds to explain this. I'm not explaining it to you veterans, just to other people, because I saw out of the corner of my eye, somebody said a minute ago that younger people have no idea what I'm even talking about here. And I've realized more and more and more from reading YouTube comments and other messages and comments I get, where people say, well, veterans should be able to still have machine guns and all that, but civilians shouldn't. And I'm like, whoa. I need to do a quick veterans, civilians, military EDU, because this all does tie into 2A EDU. If you're in the military, okay, you're not a civilian. If somebody's a veteran, meaning they are no longer serving in the United States military, they're also a civilian. Now, a veteran is a distinguishment. A veteran says you have prior service, former service, have served, did serve. There's a million ways we can word this. It doesn't matter if you fought in a war or not, when we're using just the generic term veteran. Now, you could be a combat veteran. That would change things. There's different words that you could use to the modifier, but veteran just means you served in the United States Armed Service. It also means it would be past tense, and it would be literally, by like any definition there is, a veteran is a civilian. So I just wanted to say that, because people will be like, well, hold on a minute. There's active duty, and then there's veterans, and then there's civilians. It's like, no, dude, you just repeated yourself. I actually debated with someone on this a few days ago. I'm like, no, it's not there's veterans and then there's also civilians. Like, veterans and civilians are the same dang thing, right? I don't think anyone that serves can argue with me on this. I think it's people who have never served that don't understand that. And I didn't serve, and I understand it. And I know a lot of you that didn't serve understand it. Okay. Here's the facts of the matter. The right to keep and bear arms is not tied to any type of military service at all. Actually, if you're in the United States Armed Service, you're governed under the UCMJ, and you are in kind of a parallel rule of law, if you will, where, yes, you're still a United States citizen. I'm not discounting that at all, but you're also governed under the UCMJ. Civilians are not governed under the UCMJ. And when somebody becomes a veteran or a civilian, they're also not living their lives anymore under the UCMJ. But there's this weird thought that, well, if you're currently in the military, or if you have been in the military, you should be of a higher class citizen that gets to own and be armed in different ways than everybody else. Which, that thought is kind of dumbfounding to me, but it's also kind of scary, because one of the main reasons why the United States of America was formed is that we weren't supposed to have different classes of people. We weren't supposed to be of lords and ladies and then of peasants, where if you're of a certain class, then you can own this. But if you're of another class, you can't own that. Now, with that said, a well-regulated militia, this was civilians, people who were not part of the government's military, whether it would have been originally, you're looking at the United States Navy, Marine Corps, still actually part of the United States Navy today, actually. The Army, that would be raised in times of war. So you have the Navy. That's primarily to protect the seas, to protect from the oceans, right? Think back in the late 1700s. Think of today as far as that goes. All right. The Marines, they were more of a mobile, quicker response branch, subdivision of the Navy, if you will, that could be moved very quickly. There's people that are in the Marines that don't do a lick of combat, and there's also people in the Navy that do tons of combat, but the Marines might generally be a little more combat oriented than the Navy at large, and I'm speaking in big sweeping generalities now. That's what the Founding Fathers set up. That's what they were good with. That's what they created. The Army's another interesting thing, which the Air Force coming out of the Army, okay, we look at them as completely separate branches now, and they are. The Marine Corps is still an interesting thing because, yes, it's listed as a separate branch, but as far as I know, unless things have changed, okay, I was talking to some veterans about this topic before this stream. When you're in the United States Marine Corps, unless something's changed very recently, your paycheck still comes from the United States Navy. So it's still not completely separate from the Navy, even right now. And there's an old trope. I've had friends that been in the Navy that make this joke that Marine, it's an acronym for my ass rides in Navy equipment. So there's even that to go with it. So shout out to all the Navy guys. You might get a kick out of that. That's just something that I've been told before. But now we have a standing Army. Nothing against people that are Army veterans. I think you guys know me better than that by now. If not, and you're new here, well, if you stick around, you'll get to know me better than that. I'm not dogging on anyone that served in the Army at all. But here's what's preposterous and insane that the Army can have. We'll still go with the good old M4. An M4 with a 14.5-inch barrel. 3-round burst. Certain versions of that firearm still used in full auto, where you pull the trigger and it empties it till it runs out of ammunition, till the magazine device or belt device, depending on what you're shooting. There's plenty of full auto and 3-round burst troop carried firearms today in the United States Army that's constitutionally not even supposed to exist right now, technically, but the People's Militia is supposed to. But we found ourselves just 3 years after the flugaloo, the whatever, right? The plandemic, you can call it many, many things, where people were armed to the hilt. And now everyone's just kind of like, not everybody. I know there's someone right now typing as fast as you can. Not me, not me. I mean the general everybody. The community at large has kind of shifted lately where everyone's kind of like, meh, what's the point anymore? Or just don't have any money anymore. Or there's really nothing new or interesting that's come out lately or anymore. Or it's just getting too damn stressful is what a lot of people have told me. Because for the first time in a while, like, gun control is actually more rampant now in many, many places. Including things with the ATF categorically banning accessories and parts that aren't even firearms in and of themselves. And the ATF can't even exist constitutionally, obviously. But even in the perverse system where they're allowed to exist, still could never govern over or make rules or laws or arrest people over parts, but they're doing that now. We just had the largest categorical firearm ban, pistols with attached stabilizing braces, that this country's ever seen. There's way more of those right now than there were short-barreled rifles, shotguns, and machine guns in 1934. That's a fact. And I did read all of the chat last time. That's why I'm bringing this up as a conversation, because I am interested in what you guys are saying. Let me just say this again, not to be doom and gloom, but so that we can just kind of think about things, because life's interesting sometimes, isn't it? It's actually always interesting. It just depends if people are interested in it or not. But as the old Chinese curse goes, may you live in interesting times. And I think that really applies to where we're at right now. But we just got done with the largest categorical firearm ban, reclassification in the history of this country. Okay. And the interest in firearms and the Second Amendment is like dropping as fast as it can. More firearms are dropping than the Second Amendment, but as fast as it can at a rate that I've never even seen before. Interesting. I'm talking to different owners of gun shops where people wanting to sell their old guns, trade them in, get credit, sell them on consignment. I don't do that, YouTube, for whoever's watching here. I'm just saying different shops that I'm aware of. Where I've been talking to people, some that I know in real life, some that I've actually called to prepare for this topic. I knew I was going to do a follow-up from 3 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, I had one guy tell me that for every one gun he sells, he has between 3 to 5 people come in trying to sell him their old gun. Now, as I said a few minutes ago, I don't like panic buying where people have to pay twice of what something should be worth. Now, I say should be very loosely and in air quotes, okay? Because I don't believe in communism. I don't believe that everybody, look, everyone's just entitled to the same thing. So if I do a little better than you, that you have to like pull me down proportionately to pull you up and make us all even. I don't believe in that. Okay. I believe all men are created equal and they're endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, if we have a government that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I do believe in that. That the only reason this government is legitimate at all and the only reason it should be allowed to exist at all, and this is according to the founding fathers, not me, but I do agree with them, is to protect those natural rights. So we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but we don't have the guarantee of any of that. It's not guaranteed that I will have as many guns as you or that you'll have as many guns as me. And by no means do I think that a gun shop owner should have to lose money when there's panic buying going on and they can get such little inventory in and it's so hard. They're paying more for the guns at the wholesale level, whatever the case is, that they might have to charge twice as much. I don't believe that means they're automatically gouging either. I want to make that clear. And I talked about that when it was going on. If a gun shop owner needs to flip 100 guns a month through his store, making 50 a piece to pay his bills and keep his lights on, okay, that's his business model. That's his fixed expenses, whatever. Okay. But what if he can't sell 100 guns because he can only get 50 in? Well, now if you did the real quick math, he'd have to make 100 on each one to still make his ends meet at the end of the month. That's a very rudimentary example, but it just shows that, no, I don't think that somebody should have to lose money because the hand that they were dealt was different. But with all of that said, I don't like the fact that people 3 years ago, 2 years ago, especially 2-3 years ago, were having to spend way more than what stuff previously cost. Now, clearly they were spending what it's worth because at that time, because of a supply and demand economy, if I'm the only one that has a box of 9mm and 10 people want it, it's kind of like, well, hey, who will give me 15? All 10 raise their hand. Okay. Who will give me 20? 9 raise their hand. Who will give me 25? 8 raise their hand. Who will give me 40? 2 are still raising their hand. Will anyone give me 50? One hand drops, but the other rises. The sold for 50. Now, that's a real trite example, but you guys know what I'm saying. That's how it works. Does that mean the guy that just sold a box of ammo that used to be worth, or maybe eventually again will be worth 12, does that mean he's an evil person or ripped anybody off under that very basic scenario? I would say no, not at all. You'd be stupid not to. Like if somebody's like, dude, and it can be a win-win, like, thank you so much for selling me that box of ammo for $50. Now I can go try to see if my brand new gun works. So it doesn't mean you're doing it at the expense of hurting anybody. It just means that's what the demand is. All right. That's where we were at. Now we find ourselves in a situation where, look, it's still continuing to drop, even from what it was 3 weeks ago. Now I'm seeing prices of stuff either the same as or cheaper than it was pre-2020. Now, if you look at the overall inflation of everything else, cost of groceries, cost of gas, just everything you could think of outside of guns, ammo, and all of that. Clearly, if it's like the same prices now as it was 3 years ago, you're actually getting a decent discount. Shoot, if it was the grocery store, you're getting it for half price because any grocery I buy is literally double in almost all instances of what it was about 3.5 years ago. And it doesn't seem to matter how cheap guns or ammo get anymore. Not everybody. I know there's someone typing right now, and that's cool. I encourage all points of view on this conversation. But besides a couple people here and there, and sure, some of you guys are buying more than ever before. I get that. But generally speaking, it doesn't matter. The cheaper and cheaper stuff get, the less and less people are buying it. Now, I'm not in the firearms industry. I have no dog in the fight. So it's not like, guys, you need to buy more guns at my shop. I don't have a shop. I think you guys all know that by now. I probably should have had one years ago. Gosh, if I had a nickel, let alone a gun sale for every time I did a video and someone said, where's your shop, sir? I'd like to come buy one of those off of you. Maybe I'd be doing okay right now. I don't know. Who knows, right? I know it's not as easy as you think it is, but who knows? Maybe I should have started a gun shop years ago, but I don't, and I don't have one, right? So I don't care like intrinsically, but I do care because it's a topic that's interesting, and I'm going to connect it to kind of sort of the Second Amendment in a few minutes here, and that's the part that actually is worrying me the most, believe it or not. Now, we're under hard times right now. We don't know what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to say the words, Donald Trump. Now, look, he banned bump stocks, okay? I'm not a fan. I'm just going to say something right now that's true, though. The polls are starting to come out recently from this past week. He is the front runner. Now, you could read a real liberal news place that would say different, but the consensus is he is the front runner right now for the presidency. 2024. He's beating Biden. He's beating DeSantis. He's beating Tim Scott. He's beating RFK Jr. Now, I'm only mentioning this. We'll talk about Trump some other time. If you guys want, it's fine. It's a topic I'm not just going to avoid. I'm going to say, look, I'm not a fan. But quite frankly, I'm not a fan of any of these scoundrels right now at all. I'm not a fan of most of the Republicans, it seems like lately in Lansing, Michigan either. But don't worry, I'm going to talk about them in a few minutes because not many people want to talk about them. But I will. Now, I'm trying to put him in prison. We live in a time, just think about this, where the front runner, now, you guys could be cheering, saying, good, I want Trump to go to prison. You could be saying, no. Here's my point. They are trying their damnedest on the state and now federal level. Multiple states are joining in. They're literally trying to take the front runner for the United States presidency and lock him up and remand him to jail, where he won't be able to serve as president if he's in jail, from what I understand. That's the front runner right now. That's the polls. I can't get behind anybody who votes for gun control or makes gun control proclamations, declarations, executive actions, whether they're all the way down on the township level, whether they're on the county level, whether they're on the state level or the federal level. I don't care. That's what being a single issue voter means. And I'm a single issue voter. Now, I care about many, many other things. I care tremendously about many, many other things. But single issue voter means at the end of the day, you got everything else in one hand and you've got the Second Amendment in the other, and you care about all this, but the Second Amendment is always just that much higher. And that's how you're going to be. And that's what I am. And I'm not ashamed of that. So, with that said, did you guys hear what I just said? The front runner, whether you like him or hate him or not, the front runner for the next United States president, they're literally trying their damnedest right now to put him in jail. Now, to say that we might have tumultuous times ahead might be the biggest understatement anyone's told you in a long time. The country's been covered in smoke. There was the virus, the plague, the whatever. There's all of this. They're talking about another plague, we'll just call it. They're talking about a big dust cloud coming through that could be coming. I mean, of course, there's going to be a million like catastrophic pandemic things coming up because there's an election coming up. If we even have those anymore, and I don't know. For those of you listening on YouTube, I said if we do, and I don't know, okay? And I mean YouTube employees, not you guys. Shout out to all the YouTube employees and Susan Wiki, who do enjoy the stream. So I don't mean when anyone's listening on YouTube, meaning you guys. You guys are cool. You guys are my friends. I just said I don't know for anyone that works at YouTube whether we have those or not anymore, okay? Many people are wondering the same thing. Now, Joe Biden, he's the current former vice president. He's been grabbing guns from day one. He's been in the United States Senate, according to him, for 150 years. But he has been in there about half that long for real into politics. He was a big part of the 1994 assault weapons ban that had a 10-year sunset. The Brady Bill, which you all live under today. Many, many other tyrannical, draconian things. The Safer Communities Act that was passed on a large bipartisan level. That was the Senator Cornyn, the senior senator from Texas. Shout out to all the Texas people. The anti-gun state of Texas, as represented in Congress, I'm just saying, and the anti-gun state, West Virginia, with Joe Manchin, and Shelley Moore Capito, both of those senators voted for it. The anti-gun state of Kentucky, with Mitch McConnell voting. Of course, the anti-gun state of Michigan, I just have to say that, no matter what, was stabbing on Peters. I'm not just being hyperbolic here. Look. We're to the point now where we even have, look, every Democrat there is votes anti-gun every time, no matter what. One of the biggest gun-grabbing former vice presidents and senators of all time is occupying space in the White House, or whatever. Where'd the powder come from? I don't know. Where's Hunter? If you guys have been following that. Who knows? That doesn't matter. We have a two-tier Department of Injustice. You'd all be frying in prison. Former vice president's son, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Trying and buying, lying and buying, 4473 forms. Doesn't matter. Two-tier justice system, period. Now, we have that going on right now. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Look, I understand why people arm themselves to the gills during the whatever, the plague of 2020. So I have to tiptoe around what to even call the stupid thing. I don't even know what the heck it is or how much I believe anything I've ever heard about it. However, you guys know I'm on a highly censored platform right now, so we have to do the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. No big deal. Coke in the White House, not a big deal. Not a problem, because it was in one of the most secured areas where you had to be somebody very, very high up to even get in that part, from what I understand, according to the Secret Service anyways. Here's what my guess might be. With all of this tumult going on right now, with certainly, and this isn't me trying to be a gloomer, doom and gloomer, I'm not at all. Trying to offer some encouragement for people to start thinking about different things. Look, we have to stay active. Does that mean you need to buy a new gun tomorrow? No. But should you maybe go shoot a little bit? Actually, yes. Because here's what I've noticed. A lot of times the chase is actually worth more than the catch to people. And I thought that maybe only applies to certain types of people, but I think it's young people, middle-aged people, and old people, quite frankly. Many, many times in life, the chase is the fun part. And then once you catch it, it's just kind of like, okay, now what? I have nothing to overcome anymore. I talked about the Federal Reserve earlier. The prices of everything. But even with all that, we live in a very materialistic society. We also live in a very mercurial society where it's, look what I've got. Look at me. even amongst the plebes, even amongst the proletariat, the working class. People still always like to compete. My grass is just a little bit greener than yours. My car's a little bit shinier than yours. My gun's a little bigger than yours, and I happen to have a few more. Now, it's fun to do things and be competitive to a point, but I think generally that's kind of a flaw in human nature, don't you guys? And we've all partaken in it to different extremes, more or less. Some people are more on one end than the other, but geez, oh Pete, I believe everybody has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's what I personally believe in. So trust me, I'm not saying I haven't done it. I'm not saying you haven't done it. Who cares who's worse? But a lot of people are just kind of like, I just want to see how many guns I can get just because. And that's fine. If someone can afford that and they want to do it, that's actually great. But now what? Then what? Because when guns were too expensive to buy, people were buying them. And when ammo was too expensive to shoot, a lot of people were shooting. Ammo's dirt cheap now. Nobody's shooting anymore. Shooting's a perishable skill. Now, I don't mean literally nobody. I know some of you guys are going to chime in tonight and tomorrow, and please do, and say, no, I'm shooting more than I ever have before, but the inventory levels, I'm talking on a macro level throughout this country right now, don't tell that same tale, okay? They just don't. Now, I can't post them here, and I'm not promoting anything here, YouTube. This is on another site. It's called Locals. I posted deals on Locals today that are just like astounding, that are in some cases half the price of what they were before 2020. Now, when you account for inflation, that means they're like, you're literally buying stuff for like, I don't know, 50 cents. Geez, I wish we could have a Democrat back in office. As long as it was JFK, he'd be considered a right-winger today by many means. And I don't agree with him on everything policy-wise, by the way, I'm just saying. In some cases, a quarter on the dollar. I don't know, man. Stuff gets hard for a long time, and it gets people frustrated. I know. I'm frustrated with a lot of stuff, but they'll say, man, I can't afford to shoot. It's just still too expensive to shoot. Now, there could be other life things going on, and that's probably what a lot of people mean. But if you're just looking at it in a bubble of the price of ammo, it ain't that expensive to shoot anymore. It has been for the last 3 years, but it's not. Is it that everyone just wanted to see how many guns they could get, and now that they've got them, they're just kind of done? I wonder how many people, and this isn't really, like I said, probably barely anybody that's watching this right now. This is probably barely anybody that's watching this right now, because most people that just like buy guns and have been buying guns and getting into guns over the last 3 years, they're not into it, and they never were enough to where they're like spending their Friday night talking about the Second Amendment and guns, and they're just kind of more casual with it. So just think more in that frame of mind. So one more time, I'm not necessarily saying you, and you, because you guys are kind of like, for the most part, on the upper echelon of guys that are probably shooting the most and going to talk to your representatives the most and going to the most rallies. So just remember, one more time, we're having a macro level conversation about the gun community at large, right? But people are like, dude, I'm just not shooting at all anymore, and I just don't care anymore. It's like, well, geez, oh, Pete, I know it's fun to get a new gun, but like, don't you even like field strip it anymore? Don't you even like take it out to the range at all anymore? Like, on my Locals, and I'm not going to say from where because of YouTube policy, but $12 for 50 rounds right now over there. That's cheaper than pre-Flugaloo when you factor in inflation. People are like, no, but times are just too tough. Are people even dry firing anymore? That's actually free. And if you're not, and if your friends are not, I encourage you to keep talking to them. Look, like, I think here's what happens. People can just only take so much after things have been bad. And when you think it couldn't get worse, it's like, hold on a minute. It just got a little bit worse. And there's been a lot of things that are just getting worse and worse and worse in this country. And in many of the states throughout this country. And man, I want to encourage you guys to keep your chin up. This is not me trying to spread more doom and gloom. I'm just trying to say, look, we have to be responsible. You have to be able to look at danger and know what it is. I wouldn't really try to talk your friends into saying the coast is clear. There's no more threat on the Second Amendment. There's no more threat of people roving through cities, burning it down. No, the chances are that you could have to protect yourself are just as likely now and in the near future as they have been in the past few years. And I don't look at thinking things like that responsibly, like, man, should probably get out to the range and just shoot a few rounds. And I do a ton of this right here in my office, you can call it, right? At my shop, my landscaping shop. I find myself with my red dot or green dot sight, dry firing at the wall, dry firing at different objects, places, safe direction, everything like that. And that's still practice. Is it the same as live fire? No, but there's certain things you can actually, I could argue, that are better about doing it. Go back to the Second Amendment again. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. We want to be secure. We want to be free. Okay. We're already up against the wall. We have been for a long time. That really, really sucks, and we need to change that, but we got to deal with the hand we're dealt in life. Since every one of us were born, we've had the National Firearms Act, right? Or since we've been adults, we've had the National Firearms Act that's already been there. We've had a standing army, even in times of peace, ever since any of us have been born. The military's been more well-armed than the civilians ever since any of us have been born. That all sucks. It shouldn't be. I'd like to see a time, I'm looking forward, hopefully, to a time where that's not the case anymore, but we've all had that this whole time. Okay. I don't mean deal with it like be lazy, but that's just where we're at. But at the same time, they don't stop with that. We're under threat of gun control more now than we ever have before. Now, back to what I said earlier. A lot of people just kind of like shiny objects. Now, I guarantee you guys, and not you personally, again, this isn't just my audience I'm talking to. I'm just talking about the gun community and the, quote, Second Amendment community, which aren't always the same thing. So I'll address them separately. It's two different things. Throughout the whole country are kind of in this thing right now where they're like, I got what I wanted. I'm kind of good now. Times are tough. No extra disposable money. I'm just kind of done. And it's like, done? It doesn't, the Second Amendment doesn't say a lackadaisical and completely unregulated and apathetic militia, right? Being necessary to the security of a free state. It doesn't say a militia composed of men that bought a shiny musket, watched a few YouTube videos in 2020, took it to the range once, and then put it away. Militia being necessary to the security of a free state, did they? No, they didn't say that at all, actually. And when it comes down to it, if people want to live in a republic where you, right, where you will have a government that you see as most likely to affect your safety and happiness. That's what Thomas Jefferson wrote. You have to be responsible for your own safety and happiness at the end of the day. When seconds matter, police are only minutes away at the best case scenario, and sometimes they'll never, ever come due to all the political whims of the government bodies and entities that control them in many cities. And I know if one of you guys lives in a big inner city right now versus someone that lives out in the middle of the country, you're basically living in two different countries when it comes to many things. I totally understand that too by reading so many comments. But at the same time, when people were out buying so many guns, they were also seemed like they were more pro Second Amendment. Now, hold on a minute. The founding fathers, the regular people's militia that stood up so that we may have a chance at self-governance from the King of Great Britain, King George II. Some of them might have owned 5 guns, some might have owned 10, but they didn't normally take 10 with one man out into the battlefield. No, they didn't do that. It's not how many guns somebody owns that determines whether they actually take their safety and happiness upon their own back as the Declaration of Independence would say. But it's a state of mind of being ever vigilant, knowing that, look, we have to protect ourselves from enemies, foreign and domestic. You don't know. The Japanese bombed and suicide bombed and all kinds of horrific stuff. One of our bases in Hawaii, in Pearl Harbor, everybody knows about that, I think. I think they still teach that. They didn't invade the homeland, though, the mainland. They didn't invade the mainland. Hawaii, not a state then, by the way. That's why I say homeland. Yes, it was home to troops, and yes, it's a military base, and it was a very sad, tragic event. Not to take anything away from Pearl Harbor, I'm just stating it wasn't in the United States. But they were going to actually invade the United States, and they talked about it, and they said, nope, because if we go there, we're going to find a rifle behind every blade of grass. Now, to me, if there's a rifle behind every blade of grass, that means people are at the ready and they're actually practicing a little bit, or they're at least talking about it, or at least they're engaging, or they're dry firing, or doing something. And I encourage you guys to remind your friends of that, like just having a gun sitting in the box that you're refusing to touch because ammo is like 75% cheaper than it was 3 years ago. How are they going to be able to protect their family or their town or their friends or their country, whatever it would be? They need to protect themselves. It ain't going to happen, unfortunately. Now, when people were out buying shiny new objects, enjoying their new purchases, and some people, probably not really anybody watching right now, maybe one or two, but I'm not really talking to you guys again. I'm just talking about the greater at-large gun community. They thought to themselves, well, I bought a gun, so now I'm good. Boy, were they wrong. Just buying a gun does nothing at all. Did they know how to use it? Did they have ammo for it? Did they have the frame of mind? I don't know. Luckily, hopefully none of them needed to, and hopefully none of you ever have to. I don't ever want to have to use a gun either. I don't want to have to truly have to use one, right? But I noticed during that time, when everything was super, super expensive, a lot more people were showing up at Second Amendment rallies. Now, most of these rallies that I'm aware of are free to go to. Sometimes they'll charge you a small fee if there's also a dinner or something. But the actual just straight up rallies are usually free. And attendance in those is quite a bit down. So why is that? Well, I think like a lot of times if somebody buys like a new car, they're more likely to go to a car show. Or if they're thinking about buying a new car, they're more likely to go to a car show, the International Car Show in Detroit, Michigan. Well, I'm thinking about buying a new car this year, so let me see what models there are. I think there's something to that in the gun community too, actually. Now, I'm not just saying, yeah, if you're looking at a new gun, you'll go to the gun show, but somehow it crosses over into the Second Amendment a little bit too. If somebody either just bought a new gun or is about to buy a new gun, or they just bought a case of ammo, they're about to, their mind's in the game. They're thinking about their gun. They're thinking about the Second Amendment. And a few years ago, we could get people to call their representatives and their senators, their state reps, their state senators. Now that people are kind of like, yeah, you know, like they're either like whatever, or it just sucks and it is, or I just don't care anymore. It's just been too much pressure the last 3 years, whatever it is with people. It seems like there's a direct correlation where a lot of gun shops, and I'm talking from the local mom and pop all the way up to the big conglomerate warehouses, especially even just since I did my last stream even 3 weeks ago, it's still getting slower and slower and slower. They're all saying, well, the sales are down as low as they could remember in a long, long time. And then anytime there's a proposed gun control bill in the state of Michigan, in many states, the graph looks almost the same. So back when guns were buying was high 3 years ago, people were fighting back against any anti-gun bill, gun control there was, and as gun sales are dropping, people fighting back and against gun control, therefore fighting for the Second Amendment, seems to be dropping at almost equal parallel rates. Now, I hope I'm wrong, And you guys can tell me about the huge rallies that you're having, that there's so many people at the capital of your state that it's creating gridlock. There was literally a gridlock rally in Michigan a few years ago where there was so many people there that traffic couldn't even drive through the town. There was Second Amendment rallies where the whole Capitol was full and the lawn was full, to where if you even tried to walk across the front lawn at the Capitol, which is several acres in size, you'd have no choice but to bump into people. Excuse me, and hey, how's it going? Excuse me. Everyone was very polite, very nice people, but you'd accidentally just bump it. I'm talking like sardines. In Michigan, we've had more gun control passed now in the last few months than we have in the last 100 years. I know a lot of you guys called. I know a lot of you guys wrote, and I'm glad you did, and I did it too. At least we can tell our friends and family this isn't what I want, but at least you can tell your friends and family, hey man, don't blame me. Don't blame me. I get a lot of people from other states that come in my comments and they say, all of you Michiganders, first of all, I don't identify as a Michigander, Michiganian, not Michigander, but y'all got what you voted for. You deserved it. I'm like, excuse me? No, I didn't vote for that. I stood up. I was an advocate against it. So don't lump me in with this crap. I know a lot of you feel the same way, whether you're in Michigan or Oregon or Washington or New York or New Jersey or wherever. No, I didn't do that, period. And I can stand there and say, no, I didn't do that. And I can tell my daughter no, and I fought like crazy. And I'm not done going, by the way. I'm not done at all. They just don't meet for session every day in the summer. It's like Michigan has a full-time legislature, but in the summer they take a lot more time off. But I'm telling you guys, I'm not done going, and I've been to the Capitol as much, if not more, than almost anyone you know, including some of the reps. No, that's actually serious. But I go there almost all the time. I'm by myself. Now, of course, I wasn't completely by myself because I hid you guys and I was with you and I'm doing videos about what's going on in Michigan. And not only did a lot of my Michiganian viewers and friends watch my videos, but a lot of you from probably all of the other 49 states were also watching those videos, being like, man, keep your chin up, keep up the good fight. And a lot of you guys were motivated by my trips to Lansing, and you guys were calling and writing and demanding and doing things. I know a lot of you guys were. But the fact is, generally speaking, it's a weird thing. Now, I just established gun control, and I'm talking like in my state too. I see people around town. I talk to people at local gun shop. Gun sales and just shooting in general and anything to do with guns is way, way down. And the Second Amendment's way, 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 way down. We had a 3-subject matter 11 bill package passed. The Michigan House, the Michigan Senate has been signed into law by whatever you want to call her. They call her the governor of Michigan, the whatever, right? The chief despot of Michigan. Went to the Capitol a few weeks ago. Did a video with Michigan State Representative Bob Bazat about further implications of red flag laws, because it's like, well, let's get his perspective so people can think about this with how big of a deal that it is. Man, there was really nobody even around talking about the Second Amendment anymore. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's over with now. It's like, geez, oh, Pete. I'm going to keep letting Michigan state representatives and senators know, no, it's not over now. And I'm here for myself and for all my viewers, and it's not over. But at the same time, for a lot of people, they're kind of like, oh, the gun control passed, it's over now. It's like, look, they've passed more in a couple months than they have in 100 years, but they say this is just the start. And things can get a lot worse. A lot worse. There ain't many rallies coming up. I'm going to be at one on the 19th in Ionia. I hope to see some of you guys there. But I get it. It might be too far of a drive for you. You might have to work. It is during the daytime. I know. Sucks. But I guess I'm kind of disappointed that there's not like a Second Amendment rally every week or at least month in the state of Michigan. Now, this is also something else interesting I noticed, and I'm going to read a couple super chats because I saw I just got some a few minutes ago, and I'd like to read those before you guys go to bed or get off. Gun control just passed last week in Michigan, week and a half ago now. In the budget bill, a complete ban of firearms at the Capitol. You had almost a dozen Republican representatives and senators cross over and vote with every single Democrat. Because, see, the Democrats are always in lockstep for gun control, no matter what. There's always going to be some good Republicans, especially if you get down to the local level. There's still some good ones, guys. You can't give up all hope. I'm not trying to blackpill you guys. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm trying to encourage you all. On the local level, there's still some good ones out there. But man, oh man, there's a lot of rhinos on the local level too. Of course. Like, I hope nobody thinks, meaning all your friends and stuff that you know and family that's into guns, I hope nobody out there is thinking that we just like won everything and it's time just to give up. Because we do have some victories. I was talking about victory. There's been injunctions given for some people with the pistol brace rule. I'm glad that the frames and receivers rule was shot down. New York State Pistol and Rifle Association v. Bruin, the Bruin case, that was a big victory. And others, many others. There are victories, and those are good. But don't let your friends think that like we can just give up now and go crawl in a hole. Here's what I noticed. Maybe some of my Michigan viewers can chime in on this real quick because I'm being specific on this one thing to Michigan, but this is still a lesson for everybody in all 50 states. Now, I didn't want anyone to be mean to anybody. That's not what I wanted. It doesn't really matter. But look, I was going around those Republicans that voted for that budget with lots of woke spending in it, Michigan, and gun control. It funded the complete and utter ban of guns and other weapons at the Capitol. Nobody's been shot and killed in this Capitol. There's been no shootings in this Capitol for 100 years. It's true. For over 100 years, there's never been one. But they're going to spend $5 million to make sure you're completely and utterly unarmed. I hate to say it, but that's probably when there's more likely of a chance because criminals know the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And these gun-free zones are called criminal empowerment zones. Think about this. Up until a couple of years ago, you could open carry in the Capitol. Then they restricted that. Then you could still conceal carry. Nobody's been shot in the Michigan Capitol. 100 years. 100 years. If anyone thinks prices are up right now, sucks to be you that you're not a member of my locals community, because I promise you, if you scrolled through my deals on there, you couldn't possibly think that. So if you guys want to get the hookup, definitely go over there. Look, nobody's been shot in this Capitol for 100 years. So what do? They have an answer that's in search of a problem that's not there. And I have no doubt the Capitol building will be more dangerous. Statistics will prove. Statistics prove it's way more likely that it will, actually. Now, I'm going around all these representatives' Facebooks, just kind of looking around. I don't see anybody even asking them questions publicly. Like, well, hold on a minute. You say you're pro-Second Amendment, but you voted for this? Why is nobody even asking? Is anybody curious? Between the Michigan House and Senate, 11. If you want to know who they were, you don't have to look much further. You can just go back into the library on this channel. I said all of their names. in a live stream on this channel last week. I attempted to engage, and I don't mean in a bad way, just engage in a conversation with one of the representatives that was getting vocal on Great Lakes gun rights. Facebook page. Facebook's where all the reps hang out for whatever reason. Not many of them have YouTube channels. And I said, no, actually, you're wrong. It was like this. And I didn't cuss at him, and I wasn't going to. It was never, he just totally blew me off. I thought that I'd have about 50 people, half of which I'd recognize from hanging out here, being like, why don't you address what he just said? Or maybe you guys would think of 10 times better things to say, but not really. Like, I don't know. Me and like 3 people, like when this representative came in and called out Great Lakes gun rights and said they were lying or not telling the truth or however they worded it. Like 5 of us came back. Like 1 or 2 of us actually had some substance. Most guys were just like, yeah, screw you. No, I actually told them, like, no, actually, you're wrong. This is how it actually worked. Nothing. It's easy to ignore me. I'm just one person. It's easy to just ignore you. But we're to the point now where it's like, geez, oh, Pete, we had that whole Capitol filled up with people at Second Amendment rallies 3 years ago when there was no threat of gun control at all. Just imagine that. Well, there was no threat of gun control on the Michigan level. Now, there's always a threat, but there was no bills that had made it through committee. Nothing was even scheduled to go to the House or Senate floor. So just think about that. And offer me some wisdom because I'm trying to figure this out. It's really, really goofy. Now, when there was 0 gun control bills that had advanced past committee in Michigan 3 years ago and 2 years ago, people would fill up the whole building and the whole lawn, which was awesome. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. That was awesome for a Second Amendment rally. Now that they've passed more gun control in the past couple months than they have in 100 years, and they say it's just the start, and they passed a budget bill literally in the middle of the night. It was after midnight. So in the middle of the night, and 11 Republicans came over with the Democrats for it. Not only is there like nary a rally in this whole state, but when there is one, it's like 1/100th of the people of just like 2-3 years ago. And even like when the representative pokes his head up to try to, talk a little smack, like nobody's even there to like respond to him and stuff. It's kind of turned into like, whoa, wow. Didn't even hear any gunshots going off on the 4th. I'm like, okay. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. All right, are you still with me, Linda? Do I have some super chats? I saw a couple of them pop up. I definitely want to read those. You guys are definitely giving me some thoughts. And like I said, that's why I did a follow-up on this. Because I did read all your comments afterwards. And it's like, I know that I don't have it all figured out, but I think it's a decent discussion. QD with a super chat and just became a channel member again tonight, even though I thought you've already been one this whole time. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. There's no message that goes with it, but thank you. And I definitely appreciate you, QD. Marco Polo with a super chat. Thanks, man. And a channel member. He says, stay strong, stay positive, invest when you can. My interest is not diminished. Soon it will be Dagger time. And yes, Marco was talking about Dagger that he's working on over on Locals recently. Yes. And I am being positive, guys. I'm just kind of like, whoa. Like, as the old saying goes, like, when the bottom drops out, I'm noticing like the bottom's dropping out of like many, many aspects of this. And the bottom might be dropping out of YouTube soon. If I have any more chats, I'll read those. If not, I'm going to talk about YouTube. I do not. All right. Thank you, guys. You guys heard what YouTube's in the middle of, right? I said we might be on the verge of a new apocalypse. Well, I think that's still teetering. I definitely do. Ad blockers. Okay, let me back up here. Does anyone ever heard of those? Any of you use ad blockers on YouTube? Now, first of all, if you really like a channel, you probably shouldn't do that because, like, that's how the channel gets like their little bit of crumbs. Okay, trust me, Second Amendment and gun channels are losing on here more than they've ever lost before. To the point where, look, if they're like a I'll entertain you channel, just happening to use guns for your entertainment, nothing wrong with them. Very fine people, I'm sure. Demolition Ranch, many others. Look, you're still getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's always going to get bigger. Look, anti-gun actors using guns in movies, that's always been super big and it always will be. I'm not saying those gun tubers are anti-gun. I'm just saying people love to be amused with the shock and wow and yeah, of guns. That's fine. But besides those guys, which yeah, some of those guys are gun channels, but they'll never say the word Second Amendment no matter what. But like besides those, yeah, gun channels are losing more than they've ever lost before. So what is YouTube going to do? Well, they're going to double down. And this was reported by the Quartering channel. If you guys want to see a video that was done just strictly on this topic, and you can find other sources, but I'll give you that if you want to watch that video. It's called The Quartering. This is another channel. I'm not even saying he's my favorite channel, but he did report on this, and I thought it was interesting. YouTube's going to be putting in a new policy where at most you'll be able to watch 3 videos if you're running an ad blocker, then you won't even be able to watch anymore. Now, it could be even less than that. It could get down to where it's only 1 video that you can watch. So YouTube is literally putting like the brakes on things, making it where people either will watch ads or they will sign up for YouTube Premium or they will not be able to watch videos. Did you guys know that? That's actually coming soon. Okay. What will happen when this starts happening? I do not know. Now, here's what I have noticed. And this is just more of an interesting cultural issue of what's going on right now. Very interesting. So every time YouTube comes after gun channels more, it makes it less appealing for content creators to create content here, and or less appealing for the viewers to want to watch stuff and hang out here. The YouTube numbers go down. All right. Now you'd think that would mean they go up on these other sites, but they actually don't. The gun community is a weird thing. And the 2A community, it's weird. I'm in both communities, so if you think I'm attacking you, I'm attacking myself just as much. No, I'm actually not trying to attack anybody. It's just a weird thing where I think the gun and Second Amendment community, I pretty much put the nail in the coffin on this, but you guys can chime in. I might be able to be persuaded differently. I think the 2A and gun community is pretty much strictly YouTube until they can't take it anymore, and then they're nothing at all. Because I don't know. YouTube is literally, in my opinion, going to completely bury themselves if they keep doing all this. I literally think they're going to bury themselves because they're doing a couple things that, in my opinion, is not good. They just keep putting more and more restrictions. Okay, more and more restrictions. That makes it hard for whole genres, and it's not just Second Amendment and gun stuff. It's all kinds of other stuff. If you have enough common sense to understand the difference between a boy and a girl or a man or a woman, you could get in trouble for saying that now. I mean, it's all over the place. You could become a felon in Michigan if you know what is a woman. And you actually say what it really is. You could go to prison. So it's not just guns and Second Amendment. However, when those types of channels that are like talking about other, I don't know, like the based channels, you could say conservative, the populist channels, you could call it many things. They're blowing up on alternate platforms like Locals, like Rumble. The more I shout out my Locals and Rumble, the worse both of them do. I'm just saying. But yeah, YouTube. In my opinion, they now want to be like TikTok. All right. Well, for people that have less than a 30-second attention span or less than 30 seconds of time or whatever, and like to more readily have the CCP being invasive on them and their devices and their privacy as much as possible, that's for them. And they love it. I'll never do it, and I don't do it. There is no 2A EDU TikTok channel. It's not on my devices. It's not allowed in my house. That's where I'm at with it. I don't literally bring them in my house like with open arms like that. But I digress. YouTube's on my phone. Are they any better? I don't know. But look, for people that like TikTok, and I don't like it, I wish YouTube would get it through their thick skulls. You ain't going to be more TikTok and lowbrow than TikTok is TikTok and lowbrow. It's lowbrow content. That's what some people want. I get it. There's no there to it for people that actually like to get in depth and things like that. Now, most people just like to be quickly entertained and just see little snip of things. And that's the attention deficit disorder society that we live in. Maybe it's things in the drinking water. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. We could talk all about all that, but I'd probably get banned if I did. So I digress. But for whatever reason, people's attention spans get shorter and shorter and shorter. I get that. But YouTube has this preposterous thing called shorts, where all they want to do is promote shorts. But shorts are a joke for the Second Amendment and gun community. There was a time when you could go viral with a gun or Second Amendment short, especially gun shorts, back over a year ago before they figured out their algorithm, and then they pretty much shut that down. There was a narrow window in time where someone could go viral on shorts in the gun community, but not really anymore. Okay. You can get like 1,000 flash shorts views within an hour of posting it, but at the end of the day, there ain't a lot of there. YouTube has a new stat and analytic where it'll literally show you behind the scenes, and I'll give you guys a little behind the scenes info. The percentage of people that come into your channel for shorts that actually go on to watch your long form content are practically zero. There's no transfer at all. It's like YouTube's trying to be two different places at once right now. Yes, some of my long form videos, meaning not shorts, just regular videos. I don't mean it's a long video. It could be a 3-minute video, but that's considered a regular video, not a short. You guys know what I'm getting at, right? A decent amount of people that watch regular videos and streams also watch shorts. But literally nobody that watches shorts watches live streams. And very, very few people that watch shorts watch YouTube videos. Which tells you something. If YouTube wanted to be TikTok, they should have just started Google, Alphabet company that owns all this, should have just started a whole third-party company to compete with TikTok. That's just my opinion, okay? And I know there's other creators that are much bigger than me that would agree with that, actually. Making videos costs money. If you were to make with X amount of views, $10 on a regular video, okay? You would make at most $1, if not as low as 10 cents if it was a short. There's no there to keep a channel funded. So YouTube's in this weird, like, we want to be like TikTok. And it's like, look, dudes, everyone that loves TikTok is on TikTok right now. There's still some people, though, that somehow still liked YouTube. It's not just how long videos are. Look, like I just said, even if it's 3 minutes, it still counts as a long form video, meaning it's not a short. Shorts, you can only have your screen vertical. Now, I might be dating myself here, but do some of you guys remember this? Back when I was younger, okay? This isn't that many years ago, but hey, people's attention spans are short nowadays, right? No pun intended. YouTube shorts. I hate YouTube shorts. I think they're the worst thing that's ever happened on the platform, by the way. Just not to pull any punches. Now, it's only vertical. There used to be a time that if you take a picture and then send it to someone in vertical, they'd say, dude, learn how to use your phone. Like, take it in horizontal. That's an actual photo. YouTube shorts can only be done in vertical. TikTok's only in vertical. Like, from any type of like artistic or photographic or whatever mind, like anyone that has any creative mind at all, everybody knows like the worst possible picture you could take is vertical, And we have this whole section of YouTube, and it's the only thing that they really want you to do, in my opinion, anyways, is these shorts. And you like have to hold your phone vertical. And you can do like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds. Really? Now, I've done some on my channel. And they're like, okay, but like I got bored of them pretty quickly and realized there's literally like no there there. If I literally have to like walk outside to do a 30-second short and it actually gets like 1,000 views, I lost money because like in the winter that much heat came out of the house or that much air conditioning came out of the house. That's what I mean by like there's that little of there with these. That's all they want to do is promote. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. Every time YouTube gets more draconian or keeps going away from what YouTube viewers want, basically less people watch on YouTube, but they just go away, I guess. I don't know where. They don't go over to the censorship-free platforms and watch, so I guess they just stop, period. I really don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, though, isn't it? And of course, people are going to disagree with me. I'm just saying, I don't like them, all right? I'm just telling you guys. Okay, let me say this another way. Take a photography class or a film class, either on the hobby level or in high school or in college, and go turn in all of your work, okay, to the acclaimed videographer or photographer. Let's put it this way. How far would have Ansel Adams gone, all right, only taking pictures in vertical? Excuse me? No, it's all narcissism nowadays on the internet. It's not all narcissism, but that's what's fueling this trend. It's me. Because guess what? When you're doing the old selfie, look at me, the dude that I ought to do, changing outfits 10 times in 15 seconds. I'm a boy. I'm a girl. I'm a boy. I'm a girl. I'm a boy. I'm a girl. Yeah, that'd be 1 million views, like literally. If it's like wig, no wig, wig, no wig. It's easiest to take a selfie in vertical. That's it. Just to take a little selfie, and I don't know. People are easily entertained, and it's fine sometimes to watch something real short where you're easily entertained. I'm not ripping on that at all. All I was saying is I don't personally care for it much, but really the only thing that's all to each his own. I could care less what you guys like. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like proven from an academic standpoint that vertical pictures and videos amongst the video and photography world have been deemed crap from the beginning of time up until TikTok. And now it's YouTube Shorts and other things. That's all I'm saying with that. Okay. Some of you guys are with me on that, and I will catch up on all this chat afterwards, guys. So if I'm not seeing it all in real time, it's just because I'm outnumbered. There's more of you than me, which is good. You guys are having a good time in the chat, lively discussion. But I can see out of the corner of my eye, some of you agree with me, some of you don't. You know what I mean? Whatever. But it's not a matter of me saying like what you should like. I'm not saying that at all. It's just vertical pictures and stuff. I'm sure some of you already answered me when I asked earlier, but does anyone remember a time when you would literally, people would like be like, what the heck is that? Turn your phone the right way. It'd be like somebody's mom, right? 10 years ago, or someone's grandma 10 years ago. Here, look, here's a picture of my cat, my dog, and it'd be a vertical picture of it. And you're like, yeah, but I can't even see anything around it. Like, turn your phone the other way. No. This is, yeah. You guys know what I'm saying. But that is to each his own on what you guys actually like to consume, though. All right. I think I saw another chat pop up, Linda. Can you find that for me? St. Vicari with a super chat. Thanks, dude. 762. Here's 762 by 39. This is Tula ammo, and I actually posted a good deal on this earlier. On locals, not here. Susan Wiki, I didn't post it here. Hey, how's it going, man? And thank you. I appreciate it. No, I bring up all this YouTube stuff at the end because you guys might be like, this doesn't seem 100% Second Amendment related. Well, it is, but it isn't because it's weird. I'm noticing the community just seems kind of a little bit cooked lately. Both on the side of like you're going to gun shop and there ain't even really that many people looking around unless they're in there trying to sell a gun. You go to the range and there really ain't anybody shooting, and ammo is cheaper now for the most part than before the flugaloo, before 2020. But then you even go in there when Michigan Democrats and Republicans are passing gun control in the middle of the night, and no one's even on their social media, even asking them tough questions. There ain't nobody at the Capitol pretty much when I'm there, except for me, and I've seen a couple of you guys there, but maybe a couple of us are there, or maybe you're there by yourself. There's virtually nobody there. You go to rallies, there really ain't that many people there. YouTube keeps changing things up and making it a lot more difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people have left me comments, over and over again. Dude, I love your channel and all, but I'm just done with YouTube. I can't stand it anymore. I can't watch it anymore. It's just because of YouTube. They're just sick of all the rules and whatever. I get it. YouTube's getting ready to even get crappier. But then, on the other sites, nobody's those aren't doing anything either in the gun and Second Amendment community. Rekieta Law is blowing up bigger and bigger every day on locals and on Rumble. Fry and Barnes, Viva Fry, Robert Barnes is blowing up bigger. Steven Crowder is. Jeremy from the Quartering's talking about how many people are watching his live streams over on locals and Rumble. So certain communities of people, boom, a lot of people are getting sick of YouTube. Back to the Quartering again. He made a move where he's still on YouTube, but he says he's primarily now on Rumble. And then also just kind of on YouTube, he still can. I don't want to put words in his mouth. Tim Pool's got his own Timcast website and also still on YouTube, but doing other sites. So Crowder, like I said, I'm not sure if any of these are your favorite channels, but I'm sure some of you guys have heard of or like some of these channels I just said. Alex Jones has his own thing. That's because he was banned from all of it. He's in a different category. He was kicked off of everything. Crowder kind of kicked off too, but a lot of these guys, it's not that they're kicked off. They're just going to other sites because their viewers are getting sick of YouTube. With the gun and Second Amendment community, though, in many cases, most cases, the viewers are getting sick of YouTube, but then they ain't really going anywhere else. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Because just like showing up to the Capitol, showing up to a rally, going out shooting with friends, I don't know, sitting in your backyard talking about stuff, talking about the Declaration of Independence, talking about different guns and training and tactics and things. That's all part of culture. And we are in a civil war right now. We're in a culture war. And it seems man, people are tapping out of it really quick as a whole. Again, probably not you guys watching right now. I'm just talking the consensus of whatever our community or communities are, because it's really hard to define it as one thing. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens. And there you go. Rumble sucks. You can't edit comments. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, a lot of these other channels say they're doing awesome over there. I've seen the numbers over there. It's whoa. I'll give you guys an example. I'm over there watching one of these lawyer streams for a brief minute. I'm geez, oh, Pete. So there's thousands and thousands of people watching this. I'm looking around Rumble. I'm let's see what gun channels or Second Amendment channels are streaming over here. Nobody. I'm oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Oh, trust me, there's physical, logistical interface reasons to rip on Rumble. I totally get that. It has some logistical issues I don't like. Sometimes it freezes up. Their version of super chats, I've tried to leave tips or chats, whatever they call it over there. It's called tips on locals. It's super chats here. I've tried to support a creator I liked, and it was just hard to do. I finally got one through. I was on the phone with Mateo one time. We were watching somebody stream. He tried the whole hour duration to leave this person we'll just call it a super chat, right? Over on Rumble, and he could never do it. But he's able to leave one for me whenever he wants here on YouTube, which he shouldn't be doing at all. So thanks for helping me so much behind the scenes, man. But look, so there are logistical reasons why it all sucks. I'm just saying, though, people in like the other communities within YouTube, they love it over there for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like I said, maybe gun people are just more picky. Maybe we're not as tech savvy. Maybe we get caught in semantics more. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're smarter and we're just so much more superior to these other communities. I don't know. I really don't. I'm just throwing out some possibilities, right? Like a lot of like pop culture, meaning like this culture war that we're in, they're blowing up on all these other sites. But specifically within the gun community and 2A community, no. But it's still just dwindling away on YouTube because a lot of people are basically, yeah. I'm not sure how many viewers I'm going to lose here coming up because of this new ad rule that they're going to have. I always tell people, I'm like, dude, you can watch a couple ads if they're lucky enough to give them to me on my videos because, like, it's a couple crumbs, you know. If you want to, you could throw me a bone. But look, you guys aren't watching ads on this live stream. I'm not greedy with it. A lot of people make you watch ads to come in and watch it while it's live. Now, if you're watching it on replay, you might see an ad. I'll submit it and see what the Susan Wiki Board of Appeal says. They might allow me to have some on this. They might not. I don't know. So if you're listening on replay, you might see an ad. Sure. But live, I turn them off while it's live as a courtesy to you guys. But, man, you got to turn ads on for your videos, guys. I'll let you know one more secret, and then I'm going to jump off. YouTube makes money from ads, okay? If your head hurts, dude, you can just leave. You know what I mean? Maybe I read that wrong. I don't know. If anyone doesn't like it, they can always leave. Make it easier on all of us, actually. Now, here's the thing. Advertising. That is the business plan. And stealing your data is the business plan for YouTube, which is a portion of Google/Alphabet. That's why they run this. Okay. All these videos, all this content, it's real for us, and that's why we're here. Like, that's why I'm really here, and that's why you're watching. We actually enjoy these conversations, but look, it's all smoke and mirrors on the macro level. They're just having this to bring people in so they can steal your data and sell it, and they can advertise to you. That's how it always works, though. If you have a favorite TV show, if you're still watching one that comes in over the air, you're going to watch commercials, right? Cable TV. If you're on the internet, you're paying for a service, so you're watching. It's always been that way ever since mass media was created. It's always funded by marketing and commercials and ads. Okay. If you get demonetized or don't turn ads on for your videos, nobody will see them hardly because they're not going to make any money. Why would they promote something that the creator makes no money and neither does the platform? It's just the way it works. Now, people will tell me I'm wrong, but that's what I've learned, and a lot of other people have said this as well. So with that said, many people use ad blockers to watch on YouTube. You can watch, it's called The Quartering is the channel. He puts about 6 videos up a day. You might have to scroll back 5 or 6 videos, but I promise you the video was just put up yesterday. He'll go through the whole thing about it. The internet was never free, guys, and it can't be free. If it's free, look, oh gosh, I could get into this whole thing. And I'm not going to. I'm not even going to broach it because it has to do with communism and capitalism. And yeah, There ain't nothing free in life. I'll just leave it this way, guys. If you think it's free, you're the product, and that's just the way it's always been. And that supersedes the internet. It's just the laws of nature. It's the way it works. Now, I've had viewers talk a lot about how they use ad blockers. If I had to suspect, probably half of you guys use ad blockers. So what's going to happen when YouTube puts this new thing into effect, where you use an ad blocker? You're not even going to be able to watch YouTube anymore unless you buy premium, which people won't do either because they can't afford it in some cases, or they don't want to afford it in other cases. I'm not suggesting anyone buys YouTube premium. I'm just giving you guys the three plausible solutions. They either can't afford it and want to, so they do it, or B, they can't afford it no matter what. Good luck paying the electricity bill and the phone bill, but I digress. They can't afford it no matter what. Now, or they don't want to, which is perfectly valid, or as much as they preach they're a conservative and a capitalist, they're actually really a communist, and they don't want the creator to get a penny no matter what. Okay, that's generally the four options of people out there. Or they're a communist, and they brag that they are too, obviously. That'd be another one. But it's been reported that they're going to be turning all of that off. So what'll probably happen? A lot of people will probably stop watching YouTube. Oh well. There's no ads on my locals channel, and much of the content is available free, and there's bonus content for supporters, including Patreon and channel members, where I've done probably like 5 behind the scenes videos in the past 2 weeks. And I just hit a weird F button that said turn out carrot browsing. So hopefully I canceled that without turning off this live stream. All right, guys. Well, I look forward to going back through and reading this discussion afterwards to see what you guys think. And if you guys miss me, you can see me next week here around 9:30 or so Eastern time on YouTube. Maybe I'll pop up a regular standalone video in between. Or you can see me tomorrow night on Locals, where I'll be doing a live stream while also touching guns. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.